Hey everybody, I'm Jack Reeder with Future Pastimes, and I'm the designer of the Ecaz and Moritani expansion, which is the third expansion for the classic Dune board game from Gale Force 9, the 2019 edition. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about one of the new variants that comes in this expansion, and that is Nexus cards. Now, the Nexus cards were designed because I remember having a few 5-player games of Dune, and occasionally you are the one player who does not get to get into an alliance. The other thing that I noticed was that a lot of games, while we were playing advanced, were getting Shai-Hulud right on turn 2, and alliances on turn 2 always struck me as feeling a little bit dirty. It seems like it's too early in the game for alliances to show up, but maybe that's just me. In any case, I wanted to have some incentive for players to not jump into an alliance right away, and that is what the Nexus cards are meant to do. These are incentives for you to go for it solo, but you can only draw a Nexus card if, one, there is a Nexus, so Shai-Hulud must be drawn from turn 2 through turn 10. And at the end of that Nexus, there does need to be at least one alliance between two factions. So any faction that is not in an alliance gets to draw a Nexus card. And the Nexus cards each have 3 effects on them, but you're only ever going to be able to play one of the effects in any given game. And that's because each of these Nexus cards corresponds to one of the factions, one of the 12 factions now that we have in Dune. So let's say you're playing in a game and you're using some of the new factions, and you have some base game factions that are not in the game. Let's say, for instance, Atreides is not in that game. Each of the 3 effects on the Nexus card gives you a little hint about when and how it can be played. And it says at the bottom here, if Atreides is not in the game, well, that's under the secret ally effect. So essentially the way this would work is if you drew this card with Atreides not in the game, it's as if you have a secret alliance with them. And the effect on here is pretty much the actual ally advantage for being allied to Atreides. You would get to see a part of the battle plan. But what's interesting, I feel, about the Nexus cards is you're drawing it and you're keeping it secret. So nobody knows which one that you've drawn. The other players will not know that you're going to have this capability to see part of a battle plan in a game that Atreides is not in. So they're not really expecting it. And similarly, like the Bene Gesserit secret ally effect is, of course, you get to use the voice. But each of these Nexus cards is a one-and-done affair. So you play it, and then it is discarded. So you have to save it for the right moment when you think you're going to use it. Let's say, though, that Atreides is in the game. In that case, you're not going to be able to use the secret ally effect, but you'll be using the Betrayal effect. That's the top one on the card here. And this works very much like a Kurama card. It will cancel an advantage, and it's very specific. So it's not just a general Kurama. It lets you know exactly which advantage can be canceled. But what's interesting about this effect is that these can sometimes also affect advantages that cannot normally be stopped by a Kurama. So in a good example here is we look at the Harkonnen card, and this one lets you cancel a traitor after it's been revealed. And the reason that this is not normally something you can Kurama is because the traitor advantage for the Harkonnen is an at-start one, and Kurama doesn't really affect the at-start advantages. And especially with the Harkonnen one, you're like, oh, I'm going to play the Kurama to cancel the traitor. Well, when would you do that? Before it's revealed? You don't even know if you need it at that point. And then if it's after, you've pretty much nerfed that traitor. So here you are, you're nerfing that traitor, but there is some recourse there. The Harkonnen player is going to shuffle that card in and get to draw a new one. So it's not all bad news, but I'm sure that they were preferring to be able to call traitor in that battle, and you've prevented that from happening. The third and final effect is what happens when you draw a Nexus card and it matches your faction. Now, what we've done here is we've given the players the option to discard that Nexus card immediately and draw another one. And one of the reasons is that some of these cunning effects, and that's what that's called, the effect where you've drawn your own card is called cunning. These are really only applicable in an advanced game, and I did want Nexus cards to be playable in basic, so that's why that rule is in there. You can always discard it and draw another card. But if you do keep it, it is going to give you something extra special that you get to do that normally you wouldn't be able to do. And again, a good example is the Atreides one lets them see a second element of a battle plan. So that is a nice little surprise. Once again, you've decided to go solo as Atreides. You've drawn a Nexus card. You've gotten your own card. And now you know that you're going to have an extra good time in at least one battle where you can really get the information you need to help you to win that battle. So that is the point of the Nexus cards. It's a very low impact variant, meaning that it's really easy to bring into the game. So my suspicion is that players were going to get Nexus cards if they get this expansion, and they're going to use it all the time. And certainly that's been the case for me now that I'm getting my hands on an actual physical copy. At least what I did over Gen Con. We used the Nexus cards in every game that we played. And we've been playing this in Tabletop Simulator. And of course, we use the Nexus cards as much as possible. Again, it's really easy. It's only the players who are alone when a Nexus occurs. They don't have allies. So this makes an odd number of players actually much more palatable. So a couple other little nuanced rules on there. What happens if you have a Nexus card and another Nexus occurs? Well, if you do get into an alliance, you have to discard that card. So you can't have a Nexus card and be in an alliance. If you don't get into an alliance at the end of that Nexus, you can discard the one that you have and draw a new one. Or you can just keep the one that you had. The other thing, of course, is if you have had a Nexus card and you played it, you don't get another one until there's another Nexus and there is an alliance and you are not in it. So that's how it works, and that's pretty much all the rules for the Nexus cards. So let me know in the comments, what do you think of Nexus cards? Do you think it's something that you're going to use in all of your games, or at least most of them? Do you have questions about the Nexus cards? Are you confused by any of what I've just said? Let me know, and I'll clear that up for you. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you again soon.